All right, today I want to go over a much bigger ad account where we spent $100,000, made back 200K in about 17 days, so right over 2 weeks. And you can see here we employed TikTok ads, so a little bit different than Facebook. Now, the first things first, whenever you find a winning product, it's actually precursored and predetermined by the product demographic. So with this specific product, we kind of understood that, okay, well, TikTok and Snapchat are probably going to be our best bets. So what's funny is I only actually have part of the spend pulled up here. This month, we were running on Snapchat. We also had three other ad accounts, and we only have 29 campaigns selected. And if you're wondering why the hell we have 18,000 ad sets in here, I will explain that much later on. It's a more advanced video. It's a very specific scaling strategy we employed here. You can see even our budgets, they're pretty damn high. We're looking at $100, $100, $100. You can see that we're spending a sufficient amount of that. You can see that the ROAS as well. We have 2 ROAS, 3 ROAS, 4 ROAS, 1 ROAS in some of them, 5 ROAS, etc. And that just continues as a trend throughout basically every single other ad set. So I'll explain that in a whole different video. But the very first thing is you guys have to understand that I don't necessarily like TikTok, and that's not because it doesn't make us money. Obviously, you can see here it made us money. It's just more or less because I prefer Facebook's product demographic. I prefer their audience, right? Because TikTok is not really a social media platform. You have Google Ads, which is a search engine, right? You have Facebook, which Meta basically owns, right? Instagram, they own Threads now, they own Messenger, WhatsApp, and then obviously Facebook. So they have a lot more data points. They have a lot more data flowing in. They basically have monopolized social media. Like no one's like, hey, I'm gonna DM you on TikTok. It's just kind of weird. But everyone's like, hey, let me DM you on Instagram, or hey, what's your WhatsApp, right? With TikTok, though, I would say it's more of a creative platform because when someone opens up TikTok, right, what options do they have? They can go to their profile, they can upload a video, or guess what? The For You page. So we can exploit that through frequency because keep in mind, if our frequency is higher on TikTok, that means we're reaching the same pool of people again and again and again. So out of the millions of impressions we can get, guess what? We can exploit that. So what we can do is we can hit the same people with the same frequency, right? Like a 3, 4, 5 frequency, but we can start hitting them with different creatives. And people do their research. So when you hit the same person again and again and again while they're scrolling, looking at entertainment with a product they likely want, with more social proof, more creatives, and they eventually click, chances become higher for them to buy. That's just basic consumer psychology. The more someone sees your shit, the more likely they're going to want to buy. So with that said, I want to go over the stats real quick and then break it down week by week. So you can see here we reached 15 million people across like literally 2 weeks. We had about almost 400,000 of them click to go to our site, 30,000 add to carts, and about 12,000 people initiate checkout with 4,000 plus purchases because obviously these platforms under track, which is well over a 2 ROAS, very healthy, right? And you can see here our overall CPC was 20 to 30 cents, our CTR was about 1%, and our CPM was anywhere from $2 to $3, okay? Now, with that said, I want to go into the week by week. So the first 3 to 4 days, I want to kind of cover what exactly is going on here with the stats. So the first things first, you can see we spent about $18,000 on this loads. So $18,000 and $19,000. We made back about $40,000. That gives us a 2.1 ROAS, pretty much a little bit over that. Now, CPA, everything's looking very healthy on a $40, $50 product again, and conversions looking healthy, add to carts. So me and my partner were kind of just looking at this and we're like, well, okay, we can likely scale this more. Now, the reason why is when you're sitting at around a 2 ROAS, it's kind of risky to scale because if you scale at a 2 ROAS, your ROAS will simply drop. When you expand the pool of people, you're going to have more people that say no and your CPMs go up. Everything tends to go up when you pour more budget into something. So even though we understood that, hey, this is a risk, right? Like we can turn up the ads and we can probably push more than 50K or so in 5 days, so 10K plus per day average. We can push more than that with TikTok alone, but chances are our ROAS will drop. So we kind of understood that risk, but also we understood, well, okay, we're reaching people at a $2 CPM, a $2.12 CPM. So chances are if we just expand the pool of people we reach, we're going to make more money. So then the next week, look what happened when this loads, because TikTok's slow. You can see here when it loads, we spent significantly more. We almost doubled our spend actually. We went from spending about 18 grand to now spending $32,000 to make back well over 75 grand that week. That's a 2.3 ROAS tracked. So 2.5 ROAS in reality. Everything's looking pretty much the same as well. You can see here, initiate checkouts, conversion rates, everything's looking pretty stagnant. And what's funny as well is we understood that, okay, well, the biggest weak point we had on week one was our conversion rate was 1 to 2%. So what we decided to do was I'm really good at CRO, right? That's like my specialty. So my partner was kind of handling more of the media buying. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to really emphasize on this. And I managed to get our conversion rate across all the ad spend, across everything, to literally 4 to 5% consistently day in, day out. That really, really helped us. So that was week 2. And what's funny as well is you guys have to understand some products, when you start them off, they're a little bit slower, and you have to discuss with someone, like, if you even want to scale them, like, is it even worth scaling? Other products start off really, really strong. So these two types of products have different battles. The one that starts off slow, you have to really, really work to get it to scale. On the other hand, the one that starts off strong, you have to really work to maintain it. So chances are, if you have a slower product and you're certain it can work because you've seen it working for other people, or you know for a fact it has that push, it has that capacity, that vertical capacity, then you can do your best to optimize the funnel, optimize your ads, and eventually scale it. With a product that instantly takes off, you know the battle is going to be in the future where you have to work on maintaining that, right? So that's kind of that. And the next thing's the final week that I wanted to cover here. And again, I'm going to go more into depth in this ad account, the upcoming weeks, things like that, what happened there in a future video. But you can see we increased the spend even further, but now things kind of caught up to us. We had about a 1.9 around a 2 ROAS here, and it kind of dropped from that 2.3 to 2.5 ROAS we had prior. And we kind of understood here, okay, well, this is the cap off for the product at the current position that we have in the market, right? With our current conversion rate, with our current funnel, with our current market pull, this is what we can push up to, about 70 to 100 grand per week. So with that said, we kind of tapered off the spend on this specific set of campaigns right here. We're reaching millions of people, and that's just kind of the thought process we have behind scaling. And I'm also going to give you guys a bonus right here. How we like to structure a lot of what we do is very creative and country oriented. So we were running to a lot of various countries, and we were running to Big 3, we were running to New Zealand, we were running to a lot of different various locations with TikTok. And how we like to test is have a couple of campaigns. We like to first test our interest. Second campaign, we like to test our countries. And third campaign, we like to test more or less our creatives, right? So what we do is, and I'll go more into the depth in this in a different video, but we like to test all the variables in the initial testing phase so we can automatically tamper and manipulate what we want in order to scale, because we can see the weak points. If we know, okay, well, interests are doing really good, so we can start scaling that. If we see, okay, well, creative testing doesn't make that much of an impact on the ROAS, we know that the product's very strong. And with countries, we know that, okay, this works in different various geographical locations. So that's kind of just the insight and mindset to running ads that we employed with this specific set of campaigns. So again, I'm going to go more into depth on the 18,000 ad sets, into Snapchat ad accounts. I'm going to go more into bigger ad accounts as well. But I just really quickly wanted to come on here and just show like what's firstly possible, what a day in the day can look like when you're managing a lot more spend. And yeah, with that said, I'm gonna head out. Peace.
You wouldn't have made it to the next 20 seconds there alive.
I guess we'll never know now, will we?
You told Dr. Frank that he would wipe out his whole cell.
For starters.